All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is Charlie Cook from Riding Shotgun with Charlie, and I have a bonus interview that we're doing today at the Samson manufacturing booth, which is booth 70737. We've been doing a bunch of interviews here at SHOT Show. Part of what they're doing is we're bringing some awareness and raising some money for Mission 22, which is a nonprofit organization to help our veterans, because 22 veterans commit suicide every day. So they want to stop that, and they want to help these people. One thing that what they're doing is they have a claw machine behind us. You can kind of see it right over my shoulder there. The claw machine is has all sorts of things in it, all sorts of prizes. It has things from a Samson shirt or a Samson hat up to optics. An $1,800 optic is in there as well. And if you look above the claw machine, you will see a rifle. And at 2:00 this afternoon, Samson is going to be auctioning. They're going to be raffling off this rifle. You do have to be present to win. And the rifle is going to be autographed by the band 3 Doors Down. So that's going to be something cool and special that we're going to have here at the Samson booth. Right now, I would like to introduce to you Maggie Mordaunt and Lieutenant Colonel Dave Grossman. Thank you so much, both of you.
Thank you for having us.
We'll do a fist bump here. That might be a little easier. Boom, boom. Thank you guys very much. I'm going to scoot back because I don't want to look like I'm leaning forward here.
Okay.
Right, we're all squeezed in. We're nice and tight and comfy here. We're going to talk about the book that you guys have. But before we talk about that, let's get into some other stuff. I'm completely flattered by this, but you were saying that you went back and did some research on me.
Yeah, you know, you're doing.
which is probably a good idea.
He Googled you, Barbara.
I know. And I've been a school teacher since the 1990s, and keeping schools safe is something that's very important for me. And I've had a number of shows recently with some of the people from Faster Saves Lives and from Faster Colorado. And you wrote a book a long time ago, maybe not so long ago.
Well, you know, I wrote the book, Stop Teaching Our Kids to Kill. And then I kind of superseded that with the book Assassination Generation.
Mm-hmm.
I was invited to the White House as part of President Trump's roundtable on violent video games.
Yep.
I could put one book in the president's hand, Assassination Generation.
You can bring that closer.
I was invited back to the White House to brief the Vice President, President Pence, 2 gracious, impressive people. Had a chance to put one book in the Vice President's hand. That was the book, Assassination Generation. You know, there's not some evil new gun out there. And these school massacres are not shootings. Every time you call a criminal act a shooting, you're selling out to anti-gun propaganda.
Absolutely.
These are not shootings. These are massacres.
We're shooters.
We're shooters.
Some better than others.
So this school massacres have never happened in history, and now they're worldwide. In just the last year, in one part of Russia, it's had 4 school massacres in one part of Russia. We don't even hear about it.
Right.
We have one in former Yugoslavia, but these massacres by children are never happened in human history. Now they're everywhere.
Everywhere.
And the new factor in the equation, not some evil new gun. And right up until 1968, any kid in America could buy any gun, an M1 carbine, 30-round magazine, delivered to the house order it by mail and delivered by the U.S. mail.
Back in the day.
Any kid at any age.
Right.
There's not, and we're good with changing that law. We're good with how it currently is.
Sure. I like to say that Lee Harvey Oswald ruined that for us.
But here's the deal on that. One answer is empowering our educators. You know, the first one to die at Sandy Hook was Don Hochstrom, the teacher, the principal, and at the Covenant School massacre in Nashville. The first one to die was a janitor, and the second one to die was again the principal, Catherine Kuntz. 2 unarmed women just charged the killer. What did they think they were going to do? Well, I had an elementary school principal tell me one time. She said, "I will die for my children tomorrow. Give me something besides my keys in my hand when that day comes." And the media are absolutely stonewalling on this whole subject. They act like it's crazy. So here we go. 85% of all counties in Ohio, it's some armed educators, 100% success, faster program. And a judge said they're not getting enough training, and boom, all of a sudden got turned off. Now, for a decade, they had 100% success. Well, the legislature rammed through a law that said, yes, they did have enough training. How the media reported, Ohio lowers the standard to be armed in the classroom. And not that they did it successfully for a decade, the lying scumbags. So a reporter from the London Times came and took the faster training. It was in the London Times. He said, I never thought I would say this. You got to be nominated by your fellow educators. You got to arrive with marksmanship skills, and they will basically certify and validate you.
Mm-hmm.
He said, after taking the training, after talking to the people who have taken the training, I now support armed educators in American classrooms. London Times, buried on page 5 and never mentioned again.
Unbelievable.
Florida, Texas, across America, armed educators everywhere, and you don't even hear about it. It's the only answer. We have not got enough cops to put a cop in every school. And by the way, cops in schools are good. Of all the multiple homicides in an American school, only 2 have happened with armed cop in the building. In both cases, the minute the cop got there, not another kid died. But we also have almost 100% success rate of armed educators in the classroom.
Mm.
And the greatest achievement, the crime that doesn't happen. The kid we don't have to shoot because there's people there that can shoot back. So all your listeners, go back and listen to Charlie's past episodes about FASTER, see what it's all about. Know there's an answer out there. We've had enormous success. It's the Israeli model. You don't win by taking away rights. You win by giving them more rights.
Absolutely.
And the guns are the solution. Trained armed American citizens are the solution. After leaving Afghanistan, it's just a matter of time before we get hit, like Russia was after Russia left Afghanistan. The model's already in place.
Yeah.
And once again, the only answer is the Israeli model, trained armed citizen everywhere. By the way, Israel has ramped up. They always had armed people, armed citizens, and they knew they didn't have enough after October 7th. They have ramped it up to entirely new levels of concealed carry and armed citizens everywhere. It's the only answer.
Yeah.
And so one other part of that whole equation is hunting. And
I'd like to stay with it for a couple minutes,
good,
if you don't mind.
Good.
So again, like I said, I've been a teacher for a long time. You brought up something and said that a teacher is more than willing to die for her students. We need to give them tools. These people are already willing to step in harm's way, to get in front of a murder, to protect their kids, and they need to have these sorts of tools. What I got most out of the FASTER training, and I did the FASTER Level 1 class in Ohio a couple of years ago, what I got out of it is that the medical stuff, because the medics don't come in until the police are done, and in that time, and whether it's 6 minutes in Nashville or longer, obviously. I know Colorado, what was the first one?
Columbine.
Yes, thank you. Columbine was what, 96 minutes long? Yeah. Right. So in that time, people could be shot. I don't want to say they don't have non-life-threatening injuries, but it's a non-life-threatening injury that if somebody applied some pressure, it could stop the dying from happening.
Today, everybody carries a tourniquet.
Yeah.
Everybody has got the survival skills. Let me give you an angle on that, though. Modern technology is saving lives. Modern medical technology.
Mm-hmm.
So every year they give us the murder rate. Now, I train cops in all 50 states, every federal agency. I called to the White House 2 different times and testified the Senate and the House multiple times. And every time they lied to us by telling us the murder rate and not telling us that medical technology is holding down the murder rate. The number of dead people completely underrepresent the situation.
Absolutely.
So in 2020, starting in May of 2020, the all-time record annual increase in homicides, in spite of medical technology, and it was the George Floyd effect. We had a 30% annual increase in homicides in 2020. We've never seen more than a 12% annual increase. And the wheels came off the bus in 2020, and it stayed that way.
With the mostly peaceful,
yes,
only a little fiery riots.
Now get this now. Homicides have exploded. They exploded again in 2021. They went up again in 2022. The media never reported it. 2023, the cops say the murder rate's down. Just a tiny bit. Murder rate's down. After that increase, you expect it down. But here's the thing. It's not really down. We've got 2 crime reports. One is what cops report. Yeah. The other is the citizen survey. And citizen survey of crime victims say that crime has exploded. The cops are not reporting crime. They're not in that part of the city. They're not reporting murders. They have depolice. They have all-time record number of cops murdered in the line of duty. All-time record number of cops shot in the line of duty. They know how to not get executed, not be assassinated. They just don't go to that part of town. We don't count the murders. We don't report the murders. We don't report the assaults. And the media says, crime is down.
Crime's down. And the other thing that they're doing is they're taking the they did this in California. I don't know if it was $900, $950 or something, but if it's, a little bit less than $1,000, you can steal that much from a store, and they're not gonna press charges.
Right. It's this wave of shoplifting.
Yeah.
Businesses shutting down, and the very idea of running a business when anybody can walk in and steal $900 worth of merchandise and be legal.
Yeah.
That's mind-boggling, but that's that left-wing mindset. And the answer is armed, trained American citizens. Everybody who carries a gun, everybody who trains has got their heart in the right place and their head in the right place.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the future of our civilization to empower our citizens. And you, Shotgun Charlie, are leading the way, firing silver bullets of truth and justice in the airways.
I'm just trying to keep up. That's all.
I just wanted to say that, after Sandy Hook happened, I really started to notice that when someone is in a position where they have to now be the primary to defend, that first responder, and we're looking at now teachers being first responders, it's like, wow, you want to make sure that they have that education as those educators. It's not looking at things as being just a right, because with rights comes responsibilities, and the responsible thing to do is to take training. And I will say that more educators out there, more teachers really truly understand the need for education as educators. And so when they come and they take a class, they're really looking for the details, not just the poetic delivery of words on paper, but they want to know the science of it all. And I really love that when teachers come and train, they want to know why. They have that why question. Why do you do it this way? And why do you do it that way? And, as an educator, I know that information layers deep. And so they better understand the information, so that they need to leave with that knowledge, because knowledge is nothing without the understanding of how to apply that. And then they're like, so where do I go from here? Because one thing is training, but without that practice, that true real life practice, it's not something that you're going to retain, because quite honestly, shooting guns is not something that comes naturally.
Right. We all know it's a perishable skill.
It is a perishable skill.
And just carrying a guitar does not make you a musician.
Exactly.
Thank you, Jeff Cooper.
Exactly. And one thing that I saw was that there's a lot of educators, and we know educators are not paid enough.
Oh, absolutely.
They're spending their money to go and learn how to defend themselves, but then being told in some schools that they can't bring anything to defend themselves. They can't even bring it on school property, and they could actually get in trouble for that. But there are schools that are starting to recognize that need, and I'm really excited about a lot of schools that even here where I live are allowing school teachers to carry on school property.
Didn't that warm your heart?
So long as they get that training and that practice. And after Sandy Hook, I had hundreds and hundreds of school teachers coming and training. University executives were coming and taking training, and so they would better understand the approach to it and wrap their brain around it, because they're so confused about it.
The only media answer is gun laws. And you got to understand, it's them trying to point the finger somewhere else.
Yeah.
They have this blood on their hands. They have turned these killers into celebrities. We had a guy in New Zealand who committed a massacre in 2 different mosques. And the Prime Minister of New Zealand said, this man did what he did for notoriety, for fame. She said, New Zealand will not give it to him. New Zealand will never say this man's name. New Zealand will never show this man's face. New Zealand will not even give him his name. Boom. Somebody gets it.
Right.
Every time the media shows us a face and tells us the name of a killer, they have blood on their hands. Yep.
Not only that, I'm from Massachusetts. I was not down at the marathon the year that the bombing happened. But he, Zarnaev, whichever one he was, ended up on the cover of Rolling Stone magazine.
That's
we're glamorizing these people. We really are.
And the media has his blood on their hands. I'll give you an angle. I was a West Point psych professor, Army Ranger, came up through the ranks, paratrooper, OCS grad, taught at West Point. And we taught a section on this. In the 1970s, they had cluster suicides. If a kid in a high school or elementary, if a kid in school committed suicide and was in the news, you got more suicides. Kids would literally commit suicide to be in the news. And we know to this very day, we cannot have a memorial service in the school for suicide victims, or you'll get more suicides.
Unbelievable.
So the media did the most cowardly, gutless things they've ever done. The media all got together and said, okay, We won't report juvenile suicides no more. But we won't say that we're not doing it. And we won't admit that we're doing harm. Now, what the hell kind of journalism is that? And now they're doing the exact same thing, turning these killers into celebrities. The video games are murder simulators. The movies are training films, and the media is glamorizing the killers. And what's their answer? Oh, it's all about the guns. No,
they're desensitizing children.
Yeah, absolutely.
How this gun law's working out for Mexico? How's that working out? So you got to understand why they're doing this. What's the answer? Get people hunting, get people shooting, help them understand, make them part of our gun community. And that's the best trend in America. It's concealed carry laws are a one-way ratchet. Never gone in and come back out again.
All right. Now, speaking of hunting, I want to tell you guys my hunting experience.
Okay.
You're both going to laugh.
Okay.
I haven't told it yet.
I know, but I was testing.
So hunting, I thought when I became a gun guy, I didn't become a gun guy until I was about 30.
Okay.
And I thought I loved Ted Nugent. I thought he was great. So I thought that was hunting was the way to go. I did a little archery for a while. I got a bow and arrow and did all this kind of stuff. I got to the point where I would go out deer hunting. I did the hunt red class, and I would go out with a bow and arrow. I almost sliced off my thumb putting a broadhead on. Then I decided, hey, you know what? My thumb might be worth the $35 for a quiver. So I bought a quiver finally, right?
Okay.
And then I would climb up into I got the camouflage clothes and the ladder stands and all this stuff. I'm putting the doe urine on my feet. I'm walking slowly. Like, I didn't grow up hunting or shooting, right? And I tried to read some books and try to watch some videos and everything. And I get out to the tree stand. I have a book. I drop the book. I sit there. I freeze my tail off. And I end up taking a nap, and I'm like, this just doesn't work for me. This doesn't work. I did go on a hunting trip once. I went with a buddy of mine. We went back to the Midwest, and I shot a squirrel and I shot a dove on the same day. Then we actually went to go see Ted Nugent that night. So it was a complete redneck weekend. Yeah, I know. I would love to hunt more. Like, I would like to learn how to do this. They talk about tracking animals. I'm like, I don't have time. I don't have the energy. I can't keep up.
Yeah, spot and stock. It's more of an agreement to go on the walk. And so
right,
when
take my bow for a nice romantic walk in the woods.
Yes, I mean, you have to kind of look at it this way. And I teach hunter education for the Nevada Department of Wildlife. Been doing that for 9 years. And so I get a lot of youth in the classrooms, and I'm teaching the kids, look, we're talking about the job that you're putting in for here of going and seeking and finding this animal, but also finding the right animal for you. Mm-hmm. And then you're basically taking the life of the animal, but you want to put in that respect and do your due diligence to spot and stalk, make sure you're not scaring the animal, and taking that good clean shot to get that good fast kill.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the book on hunting.
Yes.
The definitive book on the subject. Pete, the most respected names on the planet: Robin Hart, Jim Shockey, Ian Crookston, all saying this is the book. This is the book we've been waiting for. It's a game plan, and there's so much to understand the ecology of hunting. We give the example of Namibia versus Kenya. Kenya has banned all trophy hunting, and the game is being slaughtered. If it's being slaughtered, they have no money for game wardens. They can't protect their game. Namibia has drawn a circle around every village and said everything in the village belongs to you. So the crazy American will pay $100,000 to shoot that lion, who is at the end of his life cycle anyway. And death by old age and nature is a slow, hideous, horrible death. That crazy American will come and pay $100,000, shoot that lion. They've got all the money they need to protect their game, all of the motivation to protect wildlife and wilderness. The hunter is the only answer. The anti-hunting nut. How much money did they spend on wilderness preservation?
Right.
I'm gonna estimate zero.
Yeah. How many game license, game tags and hunting licenses and deer tags and all that is going into wilderness preservation, Department of Natural. What are the antis? Nothing.
Nothing. They don't pay any money to go out to walk on a Sunday because they take the dogs out. And I know in some places you can't hunt on Sundays, but they're chipping in nothing, nothing, and they want to reap all the benefits.
So the book on hunting is the battle plan for us to recover. Maggie Mordaunt here. Maggie was our alpha reader, gave us feedback on it, and she wrote the forward to it. She's a godmother for for our book here, and it's been a great team endeavor.
I'm the godmother.
Oh, the godmother. Yeah, that's right. That time will come when we ask something of you, and you must not question it.
I can see this all going on in Dave's office, right? He's got the big tusks behind him. Oh my God, that's awesome.
So we're fighting back, and when we take kids hunting, it's so much wired into our wellness, who we are. You know, if we as a species existed for 24 hours, up until the last 6 minutes, all we did was hunt. That's what we do.
Yeah,
it's who we are. It's what we're wired to be.
Absolutely. What I did appreciate is when I did go out and do this, it felt I felt like I was getting in touch with my American roots.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
But it goes back to far back from there. It goes back hundreds of thousands of years of roots.
Yeah. This is how people survive, for God's sakes.
And we talk about too that we are in the middle of the food chain. Up until recently, early in the book, we talk about a couple 100,000 people killed by tigers in India in the early 1900s. Right up until recent times, we've been in the middle of the food chain. We have the forward set eyes of a predator. We have the gripping fangs of a predator. We also have the chiseled teeth of a rabbit and the grinding molars of a grass eater. And we've been in the middle, but it's no fun to be prey. We want to be predator.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But the people, the anti-hunters, they are prey. And it's no fun to be prey. We have struggled to climb to the top of the food chain and to be the predator. And it's a beautiful thing. It's who we are. It's what we do. It's what we yearn to do. Maggie is training thousands of these kids on hunter safety training and taking it all new levels. And it's just one aspect of what's happening.
Wildlife survival as well.
Wildlife
survival, teaching kids how to put on tourniquets, really preparing them for what could potentially happen in the woods, because if we look at the reality of it is these kids are going to go hunting with grown-ups, and so they look to them to guide them in the woods, to protect them in the woods. But what happens when maybe mom or dad fall and they've got a compound fracture and now they're looking to their child to save them? How is this child, what are they going to do now? So we're really teaching them all of the different aspects of hunting, from field dressing animals to picking the right animal to spot and stalking, which I think is really important. And in some states it's illegal to use drones, which I think is cheating. And so in some states they allow it, but that's cheating. So when you have a child who gets into the woods and they have that confidence, we're seeing that they also are developing that respect for keeping their firearms safe. Not pointing them in wrong directions, knowing how to manipulate the firearms with all of that repetition of using the firearms and how to manipulate them, getting to the range and taking a class. Because again, I'm a huge educator. I think it's important for everyone. I know that we have a right to keep and bear arms, we have a right to purchase firearms, but at the end of the day, we have to show society that we're not just legally allowed to own guns, but we want to show how responsible we are by taking education. And so with rights does come that responsibility. And I've even said this to students in the past, that you have to look at yourself in the mirror and ask yourself, am I being a good citizen with this firearm when I maybe go in public, maybe a concealed carrier or open carrier, somebody who's using a firearm for defense? Are you more of a threat to society or a benefit to society, or even yourself, when you have no education and you're taking advantage of the right to keep and bear arms? And so it goes the same way for someone who is a hunter. They go out into the field, and are they choosing the best animal? Because we want to allow the younger animals to spread their DNA.
We take them at the end of the life cycle.
Yes,
that's one thing that's very powerful.
Yeah,
it really is. And I like to say that there are some of those organic those organic grocery stores out there that they can't compete with us hunters. You want to go into the wild and get that animal who's lived in the wild, they've loved in the wild, they've had a life in the wild, and then we go in and we call the herd and we allow ourselves to go in and take out the older ones so that they can not be a threat to the younger ones, by the way. I think that a lot of people don't understand that you get a male buck out there and he sees a younger one and he's like, no, you stay away from my women, when he's not even spreading his seed anymore. Or maybe those females really need to appropriate with a younger male. So it's kind of like we're getting in there and kind of helping, not like a breeder or anything, but
Right.
kinda.
But it's controlling the population.
It really
and
is.
this is, I know there are several states, again, Massachusetts being one of them, where we used to not have turkeys in Massachusetts, and now they're all over the place.
Well, hold on a second. I'm glad you said that because it just engineered an idea. Here in Nevada, we actually had a bighorn sheep that were from Nevada.
Mhm.
Well, they didn't allow anybody to hunt them because there wasn't a big massive amount of them.
Mhm.
So the older ones started getting sick and spreading disease. And so we had to go in and we had to put down all these bighorn sheep. And what we did was we actually traded our turkeys with Utah, and now we have Utah bighorn sheep here in Nevada.
Nice.
Isn't that
It's
funny?
so important to understand.
It is.
Death by old. What's the alternative? Death by old age in nature.
Mhm.
Now, if you're lucky enough to have a predator show up,
Mhm.
they will eat the soft, gooey parts first while you're still alive.
Ugh.
But they give you a comparatively fast death
Yes.
over a period of hours.
Mhm.
If you don't have a predator to give you a quick death, then the alternative is you're eaten alive over a period of days by insects and rodents. That's what death by old age is.
Yeah, that's
A
not
quick,
Animals.
clean, ethical death by humans
Mm.
at the end of the life cycle
Yeah.
is a powerful, powerful contribution. And we're part of wilderness. It's who we are. It's what we do.
Yeah.
And we engage in it. And we know at a deep gut level, we look at this piece of meat that was once a vital living creature. We know at a gut level that someday I too will be facing that last hurt.
Mm.
And how important that is.
Absolutely. Going back to talking about kids and teaching kids how to hunt.
Yes.
When kids go to a concert, I'm going to say this carefully, a conservation camp, they learn about all this, and then they have respect for all this. And you're probably not going to find these kids getting themselves into serious trouble with the law, going out committing crimes, and joining, doing some illegal activity, joining a gang. You're not going to find kids
No.
that hunt and that shoot getting involved in that part of society.
These school killers, I don't think anybody can keep track of all the solo homicides. But I have tracked every single multiple homicide by a juvenile in the school in American history.
Mhm.
And not one of them were hunters. Not one.
Not one.
Now, my hunter education class, it's an 8-hour class, but they also have a home study that they have to do. So
Oh,
they'll
cool.
bring me their completed workbooks. We'll go over the workbooks. We go over all the information that they went through the workbook so that they better understand it again. And they need that knowledge. And it's so amazing how hunter education can really bring out their personalities, their communication skills, because it is very hands-on. They're learning how to hand off a rifle to someone else in a safe way if they needed to. They're really communicating. And I tell the kids, when you give the rifle to someone, you want to hear them say, "I have it, thank you."
Just like the Boy Scouts with a pocket knife.
Hurrah.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. And another point that we really need to look at is that when children learn how to go hunting, they learn the ethical harvest of an animal and how to use that tool properly. They're also looking at what a firearm can truly do. They see the realism. I just killed an animal. I mean, let's be real.
It's not coming back.
They just killed it. There's no reset button.
Mhm.
There's no video game process to it. It is now comes the work. We've got more work to do. We've got to prepare that animal. We've got to, field dress it. We've got to understand the things that can spoil the meat,
Mhm.
Heat and dirt and things like that. And,
Yep.
and so really understanding the environment that they're in. And we want to keep it clean, not littering in the environment. That's another thing that we look at is bringing kids into conservation groups like the Wildlife Habitat Improvement of Nevada, which I'm a part of. We go in and we clean up the woods. We take down those widowmaker trees, those trees that could potentially fall on somebody.
Yeah.
We get out all of the dead leaves so we don't have forest fires. We do controlled burns, all those different things that the forestry needs. You look at California and all the forest fires they had
Yes.
because they didn't do controlled burns.
Shocking.
Yes.
And all the animals that are actually suffering from disease because they're not allowing as much hunting in
Hmm.
some states. And so they really have to
Let me
understand.
give an angle of
Yes.
this too. Let me
Yes,
put
sir.
my West Point psych professor hat on. One of the most powerful aspects is self-perception theory.
Mhm.
You cannot believe that guns are evil. You cannot believe that guns are bad.
Yep.
When you are a person who carries a gun and uses a gun.
Right.
I mean, it's the most powerful. You cannot believe that guns are bad when you use a gun. That's self-perception theory.
Mhm.
And our book on hunting, if you have friends who don't hunt and you want them to understand it, have them read the book on
Oh,
hunting.
yes.
If you want to know more about it, and how to articulate and defend it, read on hunting.
So what else can we find in the book?
So one key part that I really like in here was it's a story that I've shared, with my grandsons. I have 3 grandsons now, and my oldest Ryan, he and his brother Caleb, we used to go to the zoo all the time. Every time I'd go visit them, we'd go to the zoo. And so as a hunter, they're still 4 and 6 years old. They haven't experienced that yet. But I tell them, when Mimi was actually in South Africa, I actually got to see that animal, and I actually got to eat that animal. And I'm really starting to make them understand that these are animals that we can eat.
Amen.
They like steak. They're meat eaters. They're O blood types. Just saying.
Right. So I again, going back to my old Ted Nugent stuff, Ted likes to say, if God didn't want us to eat animals, why did he make them out of meat?
Exactly. So in the book, it talks about how we can really, truly, take our kids to the zoo where we can see the animals and then understand that these are all animals that we can eat.
Yeah.
And then specifically the need for the zoos to introduce that so they get used to seeing it, but not that they're art pieces or pets, if you will, but these are all the different animals in the world that we can see and hunt.
I'll give you an angle on that too. In the book, we talk about this. In combat, now I wrote the book on combat. Marine Corps commandants required we do this, translated into 8 languages now. And in combat, you generally don't hear the shot. It's called auditory exclusion. Now, the only other place where that happens is when you're hunting. Hunters tell you, they press the trigger, the game goes down, they don't hear the shot. Now, listen, hunters, you are still getting hearing loss.
Right.
The shutouts in the nerve, the ear's still being hammered. We're hearing defection. But here we are. I teach cops in all 50 states, all of our military. Here we are, 500 years of gunpowder combat. Never got around to telling people, oh, by the way, the shots could be used in combat. Now, the single best way to prepare for combat is to hunt. The physiology, the psych, the only thing that taps into the same pool of biological responses as combat is hunting. Another angle on it. I brought my grandson. He was 7 years old and went out to deer camp. Came home from deer camp, grubby and dirty, got out of school for a week. His mom said, what'd you like the best? He said, gutting the deer.
Oh, my gosh.
For a 7-year-old boy, what's
great.
inside a living creature is fascinating. This is the kidney. This
Future
is the
doctor.
heart. You got
Right.
the same stuff inside you. You smell the same inside you. And here's the thing. If the first time you see what's inside a living creature is some terrible accident scene, some terrible crime scene, some combat scene, that we have set you up for failure.
Yeah.
You should have experienced that from your youngest age. We take that back strap out, we slap it on the grill, we slap on some barbecue sauce, and that critter and the guts and the stuff inside of it means food in your stomach immediately. And if you don't experience that at a young age, and then you encounter that terrible accident scene, whatever it might be, we've set you up for failure.
Yeah, for sure.
It's all parts of the stuff in the book.
For me, it would be sensory overload, I think is what they call that, right? Like gutting an animal with the smells and the grossness and everything.
Well, when you're doing a fresh field dressing, there's really not a whole lot of smell. I mean, there's a technique, and that's also something that I teach is the proper techniques, because you got to, be careful. You don't pierce the intestines. You don't pierce the bladder.
Yeah.
There's certain ways to get in there and do that. And you have to appreciate the process in the sense that this is meal preparation. And a lot of people tend to think that there's a smell, and it really depends on where the animal lives. If you're up in like Montana, the animal smells really sweet. It's a very sweet smell. Here in the state of Nevada, they eat a lot of sage. It has a little bit more of a musky smell. When I was in South Africa, I'm field dressing those animals. Not really a whole lot of smell, and had more of a nutty smell. And so it's not like, like breaking wind or something. It's not like a farty. It's not a farty smell. So just so you know. But if you let the animal sit there for a while, the belly does tend to start to bloat and fill up with air. So you may get some gaseous smells, but it's nothing like you would think. It's not something you're like, oh my gosh, that's gross. Yeah, definitely not.
That's wild.
Yeah, and one thing that I got to experience when I was in South Africa was I got to take a springbuck. A springbuck is the national animal of Africa. And one thing that I got to experience was being blooded. And so that first hunt is something that's also...
What does this mean?
So being blooded is maybe for someone here, that first hunt they ever get to do, you basically paint them that war paint with the blood in honor of the animal. Now, when it comes to honoring the animal, it's really important for us to understand that why we take pictures with the animals. The reason why we take pictures with the animals and we blood ourselves is so that we never forget the blessing that this animal has given us and the meat that it's about to provide for us and to feed our families.
And we honor them, and we honor that.
Totally honor
with that
them.
photograph.
We honor them with the photograph. People tend to look at it in a different way, but we never want to forget them. We want everybody to know that this animal gave its life for us, and that we are here to manage them so that future lives can be created by this animal. So whatever animal it is. And so that was something I got to experience. I also got to experience eating the raw liver. And so the raw liver, for everybody out there.
I don't like regular liver, so raw liver sounds
either.
even grosser.
No, I don't either. My mother was a liver and onion person. I don't even know where that, but anyway.
Skips a generation.
So I digress. I'm just like, ugh. I knew when she was making liver and onion. I'm eating at my friend's house.
Right.
So really quickly, raw liver, if you're a sushi eater, it's almost like the texture of tuna, like raw tuna.
Mm-hmm.
And almost like a beefy raw tuna, but not like carpaccio because that's usually cold. This is nice and warm. You rinse it off and you chew it. And I was just really pleasantly surprised that that was going to be something I liked.
Yeah. That's pretty wild.
I kind of crave it now.
Have either of you? I've heard that eating the heart is delicious.
Yes.
Like better than a filet mignon.
Yeah. And then most of my hunting's in northern Minnesota, where my family's from, and putting that heart on the grill. Now, I think a lot of people have eaten chicken hearts or turkey hearts, and it really is similar. It's a really kind of a meaty, dense muscle, and it's very, very good. Yeah, and we honor that creature. We try to use every part of it, and and the photograph. People clean it up. People will wipe the blood off its mouth. They will tuck the tongue back in. Wow. They will make that picture as noble as possible. Remember them at their best. We've been to a lot of funerals, and somebody's in the casket, and they clean them up and they make them look nice. Yeah, and you remember them in their best way. And the same thing happens when we take that photograph of that kid. They've given their life to give us nutrition for our family and to feed us and sustain us. And we talk about the fact that to live is to kill. Oh, I'm vegan. Well, in order for you to eat a loaf of bread, every year we exterminate billions of rats and mice around the grain elevator.
Oh, yeah.
If we did not exterminate the rats and mice around the grain elevator, they would get in there, they would reproduce exponentially, and we would all starve. In order to be a vegan, billions of rats and mice had to die to give you what you have. Your body right now is killing millions of microorganisms. When you stop killing, you die. Life is killing. You're vegan, good for you. But don't say you don't have to kill. Right. Don't say that you can survive without killing. Yeah. It is the cycle of life, and the hunter is deeply and fully in tune with that. It's very healthy and very wholesome for us as a species, as individuals, as a civilization. Yeah. The wellness of our civilization it demands getting people out there hunting in the wilderness as a part of who we are and what we do. Very cool.
Sure.
I do remember reading one book, and I forget who it was, and it's a name that you guys, I'm sure you're probably friends with the gentleman that wrote the book, but he said something along the lines of he was at a swanky restaurant in New York City, and he's, hunted all over the world, swanky restaurant in New York City, and he asked if the steak was from he asked if the salad was from a farm that didn't harvest animals to protect the meat, and the waiter didn't get the joke, so he had to go back and ask the chef. Right?
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. That is hilarious. My husband will tell you that my amazing husband, Ken Ortega, he says to me, one day he says, "Hey, so what rifle are we going to buy this year?" And I go, "Oh, we get to buy another rifle this year. That's great." He'll tell people all the time, "My wife has more guns than shoes." And I always say, well, they're a better investment. And by the way, couples that hunt together never starve together, just saying. And I will tell you that if the grocery stores shut down for all those people out there who don't hunt, guess what? I can go to the woods and find some food.
You'll be good.
I can totally go there,
And if you hunt with your kids, you will never hunt for your kids.
That's right.
I love that. I think we need to wrap up on that because we are going to be raffling off a rifle that you might be able to see up here. It's going to be signed by the band 3 Doors Down. So we're going to get to that Ooh, we're gonna get to that soon. You can see there's more people coming here. I thought it was just to see Maggie. I didn't know.
Oh, they
Oh,
are.
no.
But
They are.
It's the icon they're here for.
Oh,
so how can people find all your books?
Definitely. You can go to Amazon, and then they also have your
the
website.
audio.
The
audio.
there's an
The
audio book.
audio has an outtakes
Oh.
reel. It's
Oh,
the best
nice.
audio. I narrate all my books.
Yep.
My co-authors chipped in with this one. It's the best audio book I've ever done by far, and I've done some great ones.
You can
And,
go to Grossman on Truth.
Oh, and then
Grossman
my
on Truth,
website,
yes.
my website is grossmanontruth.com. The truth on
You can get the
hunting, the
books there
truth
as
on
well.
killing, the truth on combat.
Yeah.
Grossmanontruth.com.
I love it.
Yes.
I love it.
And we'll be at Bass Pro Shops on Saturday, doing another book signing. And there's other multiple books that people have the opportunity to buy as well.
Oh, cool.
And then we'll also have these books on hunting as well. Tomorrow we'll be here at Samson at 10 a.m. to 12 p.m.
Yep.
And we'll be giving away free books
Nice.
here at Samson tomorrow.
Very cool.
And yeah, so they can come check it out.
Awesome. I appreciate it. Thank you both so much.
Charlie, it's been an honor to ride shotgun with you, brother.
The pleasure was mine. Oh,
There you go. Oh,
All right. Well, listen, thank you guys all for tuning in. Again, we have Lieutenant Colonel Dave Grossman and Maggie Mordaunt, and we are about to give a rifle away. Thank you all for tuning in, and we shall see you next year, wrapping up here at SHOT Show 2024. Thank you all. All right, let me hit this.